What happened to him?
You mean after they left him there? Yes, in that place, in that hell. He survived.
Then why does he look colder now?
Because hell did not burn him. It taught him how to stop burning for everyone else.
And when did he come back?
He never came back. Not really. The man who returned was someone else.
I came back colder than the hell you left me in. Read that slowly. Colder than the room where I learned nobody was coming. Colder than the silence that answered every message I should never have sent. Colder than the faces that knew what they had done and still slept peacefully. Colder than the night I finally understood that some people can watch you bleed and still ask why you are making a mess. That is where you left me, not in some dramatic fire. That would have been easier. Fire is honest. Fire tells you what it is. It burns. You move. You survive or you do not. What you left me in was worse. A slow hell. The kind with normal mornings. The kind where you still have to go to work, still answer people, still pay bills, still laugh at something somebody says, while your entire inner world is collapsing behind your eyes. That hell, the one nobody notices because you are still functioning. You left me there and expected the old man to walk out. That was your mistake. You thought pain would make me beg. It did, for a while. I begged life to go back, begged people to become who I thought they were, begged for explanations, closure, one honest answer, one conversation where the truth did not have to fight for oxygen. I wanted to know why. Why did you do it? Why did you leave when I finally needed what I had given everyone else? Why did you make promises with such confidence if you were going to disappear the moment those promises became expensive? Why was I good enough to carry you but somehow too heavy the first time I needed carrying? I asked those questions until they became useless, because there is a point where an answer cannot return what the question cost you, and eventually I stopped asking. That was the first frost, not rage, not hatred, silence, real silence. The kind that comes when you finally accept that some people do not have a deeper explanation. They did what they wanted. They chose themselves. They protected their comfort. They let you pay the bill. Sometimes that is the whole answer. It is ugly because it is simple. I had spent months inventing complex reasons for simple disloyalty. Maybe they were afraid. Maybe they were confused. Maybe they did not know how much I was hurting. They knew enough. That sentence froze something in me. They knew enough. But enough to know I would be hurt. Enough to know I had already been stretched thin. Enough to know I would have stayed for them. And they still left. Good. I say that now. Good. Because nothing teaches you the value of your own company faster than being abandoned by people you thought were your home. At first, loneliness was a punishment. Every empty chair had a face. Every quiet night had a voice. Every song seemed to know exactly which memory to open. You know how the mind works when you are trying to forget someone. It becomes an archivist. Suddenly it remembers everything. A sentence from 2 years ago. The way they laughed in the car, a stupid little place you went once, the shirt they wore, the day they promised they were not going anywhere. Memory becomes cruel when reality changes faster than the heart. So I fought memory. Bad idea. The more I tried not to think, the more my mind dragged the past into the room. Eventually I stopped fighting it. Fine, sit down. Show me everything. Show me the good. Show me the bad. Show me where I ignored what I already knew. Show me the moment respect changed. Show me the first lie I dressed as misunderstanding. Show me the first time my instincts whispered leave, and I answered with patience. That is when hell became useful. I stopped treating pain like a punishment and started treating it like evidence. What is this trying to show me? That question changed the temperature. Pain said, you trusted words more than patterns. Fine, lesson accepted. Pain said, you thought loyalty meant staying through anything. Wrong, lesson accepted. Pain said, you were so afraid of losing people that you kept losing yourself first. That one hurt. Lesson accepted. Pain said, you gave people access before they had proven they could survive proximity to something honest. Lesson accepted. Every lesson took heat out of the wound. That is how I became cold. Not because I stopped feeling, because I stopped arguing with what I felt. There is a difference. The old me would feel disrespect and ask whether I was being too sensitive. This me notices it. The old me would feel distance and chase. This me creates more distance. The old me would hear a weak apology and focus on the emotion. This me watches what happens next Tuesday. Patterns, not promises. Behavior, not speeches. Consistency, not intensity. Those three things saved me from 1,000 beautiful lies. You can say anything when the room is emotional. People swear forever in moments they cannot survive for a week. I know that now, and knowledge cools the blood. You stop being impressed by words. You stop reacting to declarations. You stop confusing someone wanting you with someone being able to keep you safely in their life. That is colder, but clean. I would rather be clean than warm inside another lie. That is what you never understood about the old me. He was warm because he believed, not weak. Belief is expensive. He believed people meant what they said. Believed if he gave his word, others treated theirs the same way. Believed loyalty was instinctive. Believed if he would not do something to you, you probably would not do it to him. That man was innocent in ways no adult should be, and hell educated him violently. Not with fists, with absence, with contradiction, with people saying one thing and doing another, until he finally learned the oldest language on earth. Actions. Actions do not stutter. Actions do not get confused. Actions do not accidentally repeat themselves for years. Once I learned that language, a lot of people became very easy to understand. That was disappointing. I used to think people were mysterious. Most are not. They just benefit from you being confused. Someone only respects a boundary after you threaten to leave. Not complicated. Someone disappears when you struggle and returns when you are useful again. Not complicated. Someone says they love you but punishes every version of you that is not convenient. Not complicated. Someone only understands your value when access gets removed. Not complicated. I spent too much of my life trying to solve equations that were just bad answers. Hell simplified me. That is another way I became colder. My life has fewer explanations now. No means no. Distance means distance. A pattern means something. A lie does not become less of a lie because I understand the childhood that produced it. Compassion does not require self-destruction. Love does not require stupidity. Forgiveness does not mean re-entry. I learned those things alone. I wish I had learned them gently. I did not. Some men get wisdom from fathers, some from mentors, some from books. Some of us learn because life drags the lesson across our skin until we stop pretending we cannot read it. That was me. Hard-headed, loyal past reason, hopeful past evidence. And then one day something shifted. I was standing in the same life, same walls, same problems, but I was not asking to be saved anymore. That scared me at first, because the need for rescue had been keeping a tiny piece of hope alive. Maybe they will come back. Maybe somebody will finally understand. Maybe one day I will get the apology that puts everything back where it belonged. Then I realized something. Nothing belonged back where it was. That old life required an old me, a version who tolerated more, explained more, waited longer, needed approval, needed closure, needed to be chosen. I could not return to that structure without becoming him again, and he had already paid enough. So I stopped waiting for rescue. That was the second frost. A man becomes very quiet when he realizes realizes rescue is optional, not because he thinks he can do everything alone. That is childish, because he finally knows he can survive the absence of people he once thought were oxygen. That knowledge is dangerous. Try threatening a man with loneliness after he has made a home there. Try withholding approval from a man who spent a year hearing nothing. Try punishing him with silence after silence taught him his own voice. Try walking away from someone who already had to rebuild without you. The weapon stops working. That is what they feel when they see me now. They think it is arrogance. It is memory. I remember surviving. That is all. I remember mornings I should not have been functional. I remember walking into work after nights nobody knew I had survived. I remember smiling at people who would have been shocked to know how close I was to the edge of myself. I remember making coffee with shaking hands and still getting through the day. I remember opening my phone and realizing the one person I wanted to call was the reason I needed somebody to call. I remember all of it. Those memories are not wounds anymore. They are credentials, private ones. I do not need to tell you how strong I am. I have records. The body keeps them. The mind keeps them. My calm keeps them. Every time something goes wrong now, some old part of me whispers, we have been in worse rooms than this. That sentence has carried me far. We have been in worse rooms than this. So breathe, look, think, move. That is the difference. The old me panicked because every loss felt final. This me has watched endings become beginnings too many times. I know how the movie lies in the middle. The middle always looks like the end. The hero is alone. The plan failed. The people left. The room is dark. Everything familiar has been burned away. That is where most men beg for the old life back. I did too. Now I know better. Sometimes the empty room is where the new man finally has enough space to enter. Mine entered quietly. No announcement. I noticed him in small things. I stopped checking who watched my stories. Stopped wondering whether certain people missed me. Stopped rehearsing conversations that were never going to happen. Stopped imagining a future where my success would make someone regret leaving. That one mattered. Revenge disappeared. Do you know what comes after revenge? Freedom, real freedom. Revenge still gives the past a job. You build so they can see. You improve so they can regret. You become disciplined so they can wish they stayed. You are still orbiting them. I was done giving ghosts gravity, so I took them out of the equation. What do I want if nobody from my past ever sees it? Who do I become if nobody regrets losing me? What does winning look like when there is no enemy in the audience? Those questions gave me my life back, because suddenly success became quiet, personal, mine. I did not need to become a monster. I needed to become unavailable to old patterns. That is much harder. Any man can become angry. Anger gives you energy, but discipline asks what you do when the anger leaves, when the music stops, when nobody is watching, when the heartbreak is no longer fresh enough to fuel another workout. Who are you then? That is where the new me was built. Boring mornings, early alarms, promises to myself. No audience, no dramatic pain, just consistency. Hell started me. Discipline finished the job. That is why I came back cold instead of chaotic. Chaos would have meant hell still controlled me. Number, I wanted command. Command over my mouth, my time, my attention, my reactions, my money, my body, my standards, my doors. Especially my doors. The old me had no doors. Anybody with history could walk back in. Anybody with tears could reopen a chapter. Anybody saying I miss you could make me forget why distance existed. Not anymore. I built doors, heavy ones, not out of hatred. Architecture. You cannot build a peaceful house if every person who remembers the address is allowed to enter. That lesson alone changed my life. Now access has conditions. Respect, consistency, accountability, peace. not perfection. I am not looking for perfect people. I am looking for people who do not make me betray myself to stay connected to them. That is the standard, and standards feel cold to anyone who enjoyed your lack of them. Let them feel it. They survived my warmth. They can survive my boundaries. I used to worry that protecting myself would make me like the people who hurt me. It did not. That fear kept me soft too long. I thought if I became guarded, they won. If I stopped trusting easily, they won. If I loved more carefully, they won. No, they would have won if they got to decide what kind of man came out of the fire. I decide. That is the entire point. So I kept the parts I respect. I still show up, just not everywhere. I still help, just not people committed to needing rescue. I still love deeply, just slower. I still forgive, but I do not confuse forgiveness with reopening the gate. I still care what happens to people from my past. I just no longer confuse caring with returning. That is maturity pain tried to teach me for years. I finally listened, and yes, I am colder. I am colder about disrespect, colder about excuses, colder about people wasting my time, colder about promises without evidence, colder about anyone who needs me small to feel secure, colder about losing people, especially that. Losing people used to terrify me. Now I know some losses are removal, some are correction, some are mercy wearing the clothes of grief. You do not understand that while it is happening, you curse the empty space. Then months later you realize you can breathe there. That person was taking up more than a chair. That job was taking up more than hours. That friendship was taking up more than weekends. Some things occupy your nervous system. You do not know how loud they were until they leave. Hell got quieter. Then my mind got clearer. And when my mind got clear, I began seeing the difference between being wanted and being valued. People want many things they do not respect. They want your attention, your loyalty, your body, your money, your labor, your patience, your forgiveness, your availability. Wanting you means nothing. How do they treat what they receive? That is the question. I used to feel honored when people needed me. Now I ask, what kind of need? Do you need me because you see me, or because I solve something? Do you love my presence or my usefulness? Would you still call if I had nothing to give? Would you still respect me if I said no? Those questions freeze bad relationships quickly. Good, I have no interest in slow poison anymore. If something is wrong, let it reveal itself early. I am not 20 years old inside anymore. I do not have unlimited years to spend learning the same lesson in different faces. That is the coldest thing age gives a man. Not bitterness. Arithmetic. You begin counting. How many summers? How many mornings? How many chances do I really have to build the life I keep postponing? Time becomes physical. You can feel it. So I stopped giving it to nonsense. Arguments that go in circles. Gone. People who only appear when they need something. Gone. Trying to change someone's opinion of me. Gone. Explaining boundaries to people whose only goal is to negotiate them. Gone. Watching what people from my past are doing. Gone. I had spent years saying I wanted peace, while feeding everything that disturbed it. That is like praying for winter while carrying firewood to the enemy. So I stopped feeding the flames, and the room got cold, beautifully cold, clear air. No smoke, no shouting, no emotional weather changing every hour, just quiet. At first I thought I had become empty. Then I realized emptiness and peace can feel similar to a nervous system trained on chaos. That was another lesson. I did not miss the chaos. My body did. There is a difference. The body gets addicted to what is familiar, even when familiar is hell. So peace felt boring, suspicious. I kept waiting for the next disaster, the next message, the next betrayal, the next emotional bill. Nothing came, and slowly my shoulders dropped, my breathing changed, sleep came back, focus came back. I came back. not the old me. I need to keep saying that. I do not want him resurrected. He was beautiful but unprotected. He had a heart with no gate. He thought endurance was proof of love. He thought leaving meant failure. He thought being misunderstood was an emergency. He thought every broken person deserved access. Because he knew what broken felt like. He almost died of empathy. I honor him, but I will not be him again. The man here now understands something he did not. Compassion without boundaries becomes self-abandonment. Strength without rest becomes damage. Loyalty without discernment becomes slavery. Love without self-respect becomes hunger wearing perfume. I learned, and learning changes the face. That is why you might not recognize me. The eyes are the same. The temperature is not. Before, I walked into a room hoping to be accepted. Now I am observing whether the room deserves me. Before, I worried about making people uncomfortable. Now I worry about becoming dishonest just to make them comfortable. Before, I chased clarity. Now inconsistency is clarity. Before, I wanted to be chosen. Now I choose to. That last one changes everything. I choose to. Not only them. Not only what they need. Not only whether they want me. Do I want this? Do I respect this? Does this make my life larger or smaller? Do I like the man I become around this person? That question has saved me more than any inspirational quote ever could. Do I like who I become around you? Not how much do I love you? Not how long have I known you? Not how much history do we have? Who do I become near you? If the answer is anxious, small, confused, defensive, exhausted, suspicious, desperate, love is not enough. History is not enough. Potential is not enough. Leave. That is cold, I know. Hell taught it to me. Hell also taught me that a man who cannot leave cannot truly choose to stay. He is trapped, and trapped love becomes resentment eventually. So now I keep my ability to walk, not as a threat, as freedom. Stay, because I choose you, not because I am terrified of losing you. Help, because I care, not because I need to be needed. Work, because the mission matters, not because exhaustion is the only way I know I have value. Everything got cleaner when desperation left. That is what the cold really is. The absence of desperation. I do not need the message, the apology, the explanation, the applause, the invitation, the second chance, the last word. You would be amazed how much power returns when need leaves. Not physical power, internal power. The power to sit still when somebody expects you to chase. The power to let a lie exist without dedicating your week to correcting it. The power to watch someone misunderstand you and continue eating dinner. The power to see a door close and not put your hand in the frame. That kind of power has no sound. That is why people underestimate it. They think strength should roar. Sometimes strength is a man reading a message, setting the phone down, and never answering. Sometimes strength is deleting the paragraph. Sometimes strength is going to sleep. Sometimes strength is saying, I loved you, and that is not enough reason to return. I became good at those kinds of strength. Hell gave me practice. So when I say, I came back colder than the hell you left me in, I am not bragging about becoming heartless. I am telling you, the heat no longer controls me. The old triggers do not burn the same. The old names do not have the same weight. The old memories can walk through my mind without setting the building on fire. That is cold. Cold enough to hold the memory without becoming it. Cold enough to look at the past without negotiating with it. Cold enough to admit some of it was beautiful and still know it had to end. That is harder than hatred. Hatred simplifies people. I do not need to make you evil to leave you behind. You were human, so was I. We made choices. Some of yours hurt me, some of mine kept me there. I learned that is enough. You do not need to be a monster for me to close the door. I do not need to be one either. That is where this story ends differently than you expect. There is no revenge scene, no army, no throne, no moment where I stand above everyone who left. I do not want that. That still makes them important. I want a quieter victory. I want to wake up and not think of you. I want a day so full of my own life, there is no room left for old ghosts. I want work that matters, a body that feels strong, a mind that is not constantly proving itself. People who do not make love feel like an endurance test. A home where silence feels peaceful, a future that does not depend on anybody regretting the past. That is my revenge, if you insist on using the word. A life with no courtroom, no defendant, no witness, no case, just life, mine, and I am building it. Cold hands, clear head, steady pace, not rushing. I rushed enough, I chased enough, I begged enough. Now I build, brick, brick, brick. Nobody needs to see it yet. Roots first, that is what hell taught me to. The most important growth happens where nobody claps. Underground, in the dark. You thought I was gone. I was becoming structurally different. You thought silence meant I was broken. Silence was construction. You thought loneliness meant I would return. Loneliness taught me I could leave for good. You thought I needed warmth. I learned how to make my own. Then I learned not to waste it. That is why I am colder. My fire belongs somewhere now. It is not public property. Not every person gets access. Not every emergency gets fuel. Not every apology gets heat. Not every memory gets a room. I choose what burns. I choose what stays cold. That is command, and command is what I came back with. So if they ask what happened to me, tell them this. He was left in hell by people who thought hell would make him desperate. It did, for a while, then desperation burned out. He was left in silence by people who thought silence would make him call. It did, for a while, then he heard his own voice. He was left alone by people who thought loneliness would make him weak. It did, for a while, then loneliness became training. He was left with nothing but himself, and eventually, himself became enough. That is what came back, not rage, not vengeance, not some monster waiting for permission to destroy. A man who no longer needs what once controlled him. That is colder, that is quieter, that is much harder to break. So yes, I came back, but do not mistake my return for an invitation. Do not mistake my calm for forgetfulness. Do not mistake forgiveness for access. Do not mistake the fact that I survived you for proof I should ever repeat you. I remember the hell. I just do not live there anymore. And the man who walked out learned one thing. The man who entered did not know. Fire can only burn what still needs its warmth. I do not anymore. I came back colder than the hell you left me in, and for the first time in my life, I am warm exactly where I choose to be.